not going to give them. I have money in my pocket. I don't want to make up a story. I'm not going to give any. But Jesus stopped. And this is a very important Son of God here. Jesus had a lot on his plate. He had a lot going on. And he stopped. So why didn't Jesus just pass by? Why?
I think, Jesus knows our hearts. And he said it when he told that his faith has made him well. He could recognize, just the fact that he called him Son of David, you alluded to that earlier. He called him Son of David. He knew more about Jesus than that he was just a man who healed. I think he saw in him that he was the Messiah. And that's, I think, is the faith that Jesus was talking about that made him well. So when he went, he didn't leave and go on to his own business. He followed Jesus. So I think it was more than just wanting a healing. I thought this man had faith in who Jesus was as the Messiah.
Heart man, go your way. Jesus healed the man. He told him to go his way. Where's he going? Where would a blind man go now that he got his sight?
Anywhere he wants to now.
Anywhere he want to go, but everywhere he go is brand new. Think about it. For the first time, he's seeing what he never seen before. So Jesus telling him to go his way. Oh, man, that's great. But everywhere I go, going to be brand new to me, old to everybody else. I really don't know where to go because I don't know where I came from. Now I see things, but I used to just hear them. So now I got to connect my eyes with the knowledge of what I heard all this time. Jesus tell me to go my way. I mean, I got people teasing and yelling at me and screaming at me. Go where? I mean, you're the most important person in my life right now. Why would I not follow you? I'm going to follow you, right?
And not only that, wherever he does go or do go, people's going to, first thing they're going to ask you, how did you receive your sight? Who gave you this miracle in order for you to see things you've never seen before? Now the name is going to come out even more. Jesus of Nazareth gave me the blessing to have my sight.
What happened to one of Jesus's miracles where the mother and father had to get involved? What happened? Y'all tell me the story. Remember the Sanhedrin cross-examined the parents?
When he was to the side of the son, and the mother tell them to ask the son because he is the one who Jesus opened his eyes. Because they were trying to tell her he wasn't born blind because they didn't want it to sound like Jesus opened his eyes.
And what did that guy want to do? What did he want to do? Jesus told him to do what? Go and what? When he healed him.
To go and show himself.
Show yourself. Right? And what did he want to do?
Follow Jesus.
Follow Jesus. Has there ever been a time in your life where you have been impacted by something that the Lord has healed you from, answered your prayers from, delivered you from, gave you peace from, and for a season, that's all you wanted to do was be thankful. You just wanted to be thankful. You were so happy that God has done this for you that you just poured yourself into his word. You have thanksgiving, your prayer, your get up about you and everything. You told everybody. Oh, that wasn't me. That wasn't me. That was Jesus. And you had an energy about you. You praise God. You praise God. You praise the Lord. It's a heart matter with Jesus. That's why he stopped. Told the man to go his way. I did my part. You go ahead and go your way. I don't want to go my way. I want to follow you. Jesus knew that at the end of the week, there would be no more following. And all that I've done for this mankind, humanity, will be a story now. And all these people that I have impacted would be people who will impact the world because the blind did see, the lame did walk. And they will be testimonies to people all over the Mediterranean world. That's why, brothers and sisters, we shouldn't forget to testify. We shouldn't forget to tell people what God has done for us, because that's a legitimate story that nobody can imitate. Unless you just got baptized because you was just scared of going to hell. You scared of going to hell, then that's your story. I got baptized because I was afraid to go to hell. I really don't have much more to say. I was in pretty good shape, but somebody said there was fire and brimstone, and I done burned myself a couple of times, so I don't want to go to hell. Dad?
This other man who was a blind, that was a different story than this one. And this history that Jesus told us, Mark, this is there's a Matthew, Mark, and Luke, there's three of those. This story is in the three of two. But this other story, which is their mother and father who has testified, that's not in the other group, that's just only John has that story. That's different scenario. But I believe this way, that Jesus had to prove those people who walking behind him. And this time, when Jesus was walking by, this man asked, who is coming? I mean, what is going on there? Because he can't see. What is going on there? So that's what we will say in Jesus the Nazareth is coming. So that's why we now going to speak up. And he said what he's supposed to say. This is the story. This is the Jericho. But the John 9, there was a man was sitting, and his disciples were asking, who's sick, this man or this father-in-law? That's a totally different scenario. Mm-hmm. But although, because this man had to testify among Sanhedrin, those people, but this is for those among maybe 500 among, maybe thousands among, that's different. The story and different situation.
Okay. What do all people with ailments have in common when medically they are healed? What do all people have in common? And there is a group that they belong to. What is that group called? What is that word called for group? It's a word that goes before group. If you have a certain illness, you have a certain chronic illness, you have something medically that's wrong with you, and you're doing your research, the doctor tell you to go to what? It's very common today for doctors to tell you to go to a what? 12-step program is for who? Drugs and alcohol. What do they call their group when they meet for meetings? They call this my what? No, they don't get technical with their AA name. They call it what? My what? Support group. And that support group have what kind of people in it? People who are like-minded with whatever's wrong, right? You have support groups for cancer. You have support groups for alcohol. You have support groups for drug addiction. You have support group for weight loss. When you go to these, whether you know it or not, when you go to Jenny Craig, well, she's not in business anymore, is she? But when you go to all these weight loss places, you form a bond with the people that are there, right? In these stories of Jesus miraculously healing people, these people become witnesses to people who weren't in the condition that they were in. Because they have been miraculously healed, they love the Lord. And blind people of any kind in these stories in the Bible, I don't know why we're not enthusiastic about healings. I guess because we live in an era where we can swallow a pill and feel better. We can go to the doctor and he can write out a prescription. And it really doesn't have the magnitude that it had back then. The pool at Bethesda, going down in the water, these things don't have the same effect that they have now, because doctors do a very good job. The medical community, labs, research do a very good job today, where we can take certain kinds of antibiotics, and after 10 days, whatever that infection was, for the most part, we are healed. But in those days, you were sick for a long time. You had legion in you for a long time, and you were messed up for a long time. So you have a support group. You go and you sit down with people who you can talk to, and people can say, I understand. Because what? Obviously, did the group understand this man's situation? If they understood, they wouldn't have said things to him, right? They didn't understand him. Why? Because they were seeing. They had their sight, so it was no big deal to them. What was the big deal to them? It's just another dude begging out. I've seen they do it a million times. As a matter of fact, I gave him something. If the Pharisees can't heal him, fine. Now, maybe Jesus can do something with it. Maybe Jesus can't. That's the attitude of a lot of people. You say, go show yourself. Go your way. Go do your thing now. But where am I going? My world has been complete darkness. I've always had someone take care of me. I had to rely on everybody for everything. My toiletries, my food, where I'm going to lay my head. Whether people was being rude or nice to me, I had to endure that. You don't want me to go my way. Where am I going? Why did the man follow Jesus? Man, ain't no friend like Jesus. There's no friend like Jesus. So you kind of figure, it's one thing I'm going to learn about by this man touching me. I'm going to know that he is the Lord. It ain't nobody around here like him. And I'm going to try my very best to be a part of his world, just in case something else happened to me. Just in case something else happened to me. Well, Jesus told them when they was following him, y'all just follow me for groceries. Let's get something to eat. You don't really pay me no mind. Because after a while, what? It got to be routine. And people became benefactors of miracles. And after a while, I didn't have to worry about food anymore. That's all it was. Jesus, the blind man gave him the respect that he should have given Jesus by calling him Rabboni. And what does that mean? It was Bruce Panko's favorite song, that song that said Rabboni. When you think of that name, what do you think of? My friend and my what? Friend and my God. Call them that. Good description of Jesus. Rabboni. And I want to follow you. It's been a very tough world for someone who's poor, y'all. And when someone who's poor come out of a world of darkness, they are very, very, they have a lot of gratitude to the person that took time to help them. And they cling to him simply because someone took time to help me and just didn't tell me to go over there and get it over there. They helped me. When things are bad in people's lives, they don't have the resources that you have. That's why we have to be very careful how we treat the poor and children that don't have resources, because God is watching. And remember, it is not as easy as you think it is. Let me just take your ability to go to work and let me take that particular job away from you that brings in the income that you are accustomed to, and I'll show you just how tough life is. Think about it. It can change just that quick. You can have an injury that will leave you decapitated in some sort of area where you are now in the handicapped status, and your whole world will change quickly, financially and mentally. And just imagine the people, just imagine, I've been living, y'all, in a graveyard. I got so many personalities in me, y'all can't even find the real me. And Jesus comes along, get out the boat, come over where I am. I've destroyed that city so much that y'all just kicked me out of town. And I don't know nobody today. Maybe there is somebody, you know, they have vampire movies and stuff where vampires lay in caskets in graveyards. But maybe there is somebody that live in a graveyard. But imagine living in a graveyard. Imagine what people think about you living in a graveyard. You can't live in town. And Jesus comes along and he heals you and tells you to go show yourself to people. You got to be kidding me. What do you think happened to the first person that seen that man? Jesus didn't tell him to go shave. Jesus didn't tell him to go take a bath. Jesus told him to go show himself. What do you think happened? So he got loose out of the graveyard. You telling me to go show myself to people, it's going to take people a while. You know what happened with Paul? Same thing with Paul. This guy was a prisoner. He went and got people like us. Are you sure you want me to talk to this dude? Why me? You want this guy to stay at my house? You want me to what? How you know this guy ain't transformed? How you know? I didn't see him on the road that you knocked him off. I mean, people have some legitimate concerns with miracles. Patrick?
This is also a teaching moment for James and John. If you look at Mark chapter 10, the story just before this is where James and John in verse 35 of chapter 10, they come to Jesus and say, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask." And he said to them, "What do you want me to do for you?" The same question that he asked of blind Bartimaeus. They said to him, "Grant us that we may sit one on your right and one on your left in your glory." Then Jesus puts them in their place, just paraphrasing. Basically, he says, the first shall be last, the last shall be first. So now comes this opportunity where blind Bartimaeus, he knows him already because Jesus knows the heart and mind of all men. But he asked the exact same question. I wouldn't be surprised if James and John were there within hearing to get the point physically in what this beggar, who really has no value in this earthly kingdom at this point,
Right,
other than sitting at the gate asking for handouts, has now been lavished with this great blessing that Jesus bestows on him.
Yeah.
And he is so happy that he gets up and he praises and continues to to be the mouthpiece for Jesus in all that he does to anybody that he encounters from that point forward. Jesus uses these moments to fulfill the scriptures. He uses them to teach, and he uses them a lot of times to make sure that the apostles understand on their own terms, not just from the words that he gives them, but by seeing in practice what it means. And I think this is a great understanding for James and John and their understanding of what really needs to be done with their lives. And we see later on that they were very useful in God's kingdom.
Mm-hmm. I mean, very good point. Teachable moments for the students that's going to become teachers, and that no soul should be left untouched by the grace of God. And to want to have status in a kingdom that is full of all people that are sinners, be careful what you ask for, and understand that in this ministry, the first shall be last and the last shall be first, and the disciples should have been the first ones to understand that. Because the beauty about the 12 is They didn't need this kind of a miracle. They was walking with the miracle maker. I mean, the very fact you can go down there and get your own taxes, I mean, it's a miracle in itself. They view Jesus totally different than people that need him. Oh yeah, they was fearful and got scared a lot of time when the resource was away from them. But that is a teachable moment, bro. You're absolutely right. I mean, just think about that. You know, mom just bust in, and hey, look, these kids left this business. What are you going to give them? And from my perspective, they're very faithful to you. They left us, and talk about around town that you have 12 fantastic guys at your disposal. What are you going to give them for the sacrifice they're making? That's not mine to give. That's not mine to give. And then you get a guy begging, crying out, calling my name, and boom, there it is. So just think about these teachable moments. In the times that will come where you're going to ask for prayers. You're going to be flat out. Maybe you won't. Maybe you will live your whole entire life unscathed from decapitating diseases, chronic diseases, broken bones, migraine headaches, diabetes, hypertension. Maybe you're just going to be one of them kind of people that's going to live your life out and die of an old age. And we have folks that are like that. They just, their heart stops. And when the autopsy is done on them, it was just time for them to die. Or maybe you want to be one of those kind of people that have a story to tell because you know what God has done for you when the doctor has told you something different. All right? So any more comments before we close? I thank God I have my sight. What about you? But I like seeing. Seeing is believing to me. All right, we have prayer requests. Sister Nadine has put in a request for her cousin Sandra Kitson, who is fighting brain cancer as